Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Code Chronicles. It's your host, Pags. We've transitioned from a software channel to an ASMR channel. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the Code Chronicles. Enough of that bit. Now I've been brought in Nature Valley. The snack that's for you. Golly. All right. So yesterday or the previous episode before this, we built a little bit of the projects. Well, hold on. Before diving into software, if you're new to the Code Chronicles, welcome. Hell of an intro if you're new. And if you're not new, welcome back. Welcome back. As you know, we kind of built this projects, just this piece of data where we can associate the projects to, or at least start associating projects to tasks is ultimately the end goal. We have some bugs here, and the reason why we have some bugs and why the projects aren't showing and all this stuff is because there has been some altering of the projects or of all of our schema, to be honest. Let me pop this off page real quick, make sure our schema is closed. Okay. It is. And altogether, I've built some compound keys, which are going to be this project user keys, where projects and users are stored together, and users also have a compound key, a user task key, where the users are associated to tasks. So the reason why none of our things are working is because literally all of our endpoints are broken. So let's go ahead and fix some of these and do them one at a time. I know it's going to be a little bit tedious. There's a few endpoints to go through. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a boring one today, folks. So maybe I'll tell some stories on the way. maybe I'll talk about some stuff. Maybe it won't be that bad, right? But I just see this as more of a tedious linking up stuff and organizing stuff right here. We have to pass in a project ID, for instance, when we post a task. So I need to figure that out here on how to get the project ID, which I imagine to get all of the projects, I think I'm gonna have to set the project ID depending on the user, because the user should be able to fetch all the projects and then choose which project they want to work in, right? So let's just do like 20 to 30 minutes, I bet, of just building out some more of the structure and maybe fixing one or two of the endpoints, and then behind the scenes I'll clean up a bunch more. But instantly, step one, we want to basically get the projects, and step two, maybe we'll go ahead and build that Kanban drop down thing of all the projects here. So in the base columns component, that's what we want to look at, where we have our header. I think right here is roughly where we want to put it. Maybe not. Maybe it's not there. Maybe it's here. Getting no love, folks. I'm seeing nada. But basically, I want to have a drop down. Maybe our server's just down, or we need to refresh or something. But I want to. Oh, there it is. Okay, so basically, I want to drop down where we could choose which project that we're in. Basically, I don't want to have this arbitrary project that just doesn't exist. Like the user needs to know which project that they're in, and they need to choose what project they're in, and then therefore the task now know, or I should say the query knows which task to go query and fetch for. So let's build for that. I think is going to be kind of what we want to do. So I think it'll actually go right here. That's where it'll make the most sense. Yeah. Okay, so let's get out of the base columns page. We don't want it there. And this is just going to be a drop down basically that fetches, let's say, it's going to fetch all the projects, and we want to show the project IDs. For now, obviously it'll be the name, but behind the scenes it'll be the ID that we're selecting. So let's go ahead and do that. So we need use effect. We also need the project store. Guys, I am exhausted today. I will tell you what, doing the 2-a-day workout, like running the hill and then working out after, whew, and then working the brain out. I'll tell you what, it's just like, it's wild. But this might be the most fit I've ever been in my life, potentially. I would love to put it to the test, to be honest. Like go run a marathon or something. I have no idea how to put it to the test. Just run as far as I can until I can't, I guess would be one way to see it. So, or see how fit I am, right? But maybe not. I used to be pretty athletic as a young kid. So boom, here's all of our project IDs. Let's see. So we got the projects, we have the options. Maybe I want to pop in the base drop down, which is going to be the options, but the options aren't set up to be the ID and the project. The options for the base drop down are just set up to be whatever string value we pop in there. So we are going to have to think about that, because this will need to be a object selector, not a string selector. I don't know if that makes sense, but because right now the options, if we just put in like options right here, 1, 2, or toe, 1 toe, those are our options. But we want our project IDs behind the scenes. So basically it would be the project store.projects for the options, I believe is an array. So we could probably just pop it in just like this. Oop. Project store.projects. Let's see what happens. Let's break something. Break something, folks. String is not assignable. Okay. What about as string? Oh, I see, because it does need to be a string of things. So let's pop it in then like this. And set a project ID. We'll say project name. Let's see if this works as string. Boom. Nope, we are getting some errors, but the projects are here. Basically this is what we want to see. We want to see all the project names. So a user can select and say, okay, I'm working on my blockchain project or my whichever project. Let's just delete some of these projects out of the database real quick so we don't have to look at all of them and deal with all of it. Let's just go ahead and delete, delete, get it out of here, and we'll just dummy it up and say my blockchain project, for instance, and then we'll say, what should this be? What's a company name? Company project. I guess we'll say company A project. How about that? Boom. So the idea is we want to be able to select between both of these things where it says, oh, what's the error? We're getting a map error. Project store. Let me see if I can just quickly rig this up and fix it. No, looks like we're still getting some errors, but we can at least see the two projects. We're dealing with some Z indexing stuff, but that's not a big deal. The most important part is we could like click, oh, I want to see company's project, company A for company A, and I should see all the tasks associated to it. And then also, if I want to see the blockchain project, I should be able to see, boom, all the tasks get refetched there. So I'm thinking of larger paintbrush decisions, kind of larger architecture decisions at the same time of thinking about this, where I think we're ultimately going to have to restructure base column, which is kind of a good thing because it is getting ridiculously large, as I mentioned in the last thing, especially the task cards are just, just brutal, right? So I think the idea is to actually do all of this in the base columns component. where the base columns will, don't know what I just clicked out of, but that is fine. But the base columns component should actually handle all the task distribution, the fetching, which project we're on, all that stuff. Or we handle this in a store that kind of gets all of our data for us. We could do that. We could have kind of an auxiliary store where it kind of handles all of the task data, the project data, and the user data all in one, where it fetches all those things, has all the inputs. I almost like that. I almost do, where it would kind of, it would use the other stores, kind of the same synonymous sense of how I'm using Prisma for these compound keys, right? So boom, this is how we're going to access other things like the user task. This is how we associate the users to tasks. So in a very synonymous sense on the front end, the way to, at least it seems like the easiest way to handle all these projects where we could swap between different projects would be to make a store similar to this. I really do want to talk to Chester about it, and he just texted me conveniently right now too. So how about this? How about we build this out where it just fetches for task for this project, and yeah, we build out this little drop down. It's gonna be a quicker episode, so probably like 15 more minutes. Build out this drop down where we just know which ID is associated to being selected, which won't be too hard, I don't think. And then yeah, maybe a little fetch, and then we'll call it a wrap where I can hop on a call with Chester and yeah, and get this thing figured out. So boom, Kanban page. Let's see, base drop down. I'm gonna steal the drop down component. Let's see, base drop down. The problem is it's just selecting. It's not really a problem. It's selecting the string, but we needed to actually select the project ID associated with the string. So it should be passing down projects as a whole, and then the actual dropdown can handle the selection of the IDs. Does that make sense? So this is what we need to send to the server, basically, is the IDs associated with the projects, not the actual name. So yeah, let's maybe build that dropdown. That I will say it's going to be a base dropdown, or how about base project selector? Because it's really just going to be used for this. And basically, it's going to be a dropdown. It's going to be the same thing, but it's just for objects instead of the, what's it called? Instead of strings. Don't know why I had such a brain fart on that, folks, but you win some, you lose some, right? Okay, so let's do this. Boom, options. We're almost there. It's not going to be sent as a string anymore. We are going to send it as something different. So options, it won't be string. It's actually going to be an object with what's the shape of our object? We could just do any for now, but I'll probably send it in as this type. So I just remembered, actually, we could probably pull that type in from Prisma. Thank God we did this in an earlier episode, is put all of our types with Prisma. Boom. So now it's being passed in as a project, which is great. So, or I guess an array of projects. So does that fix our problem? Element undefined is not assignable to project string ID null. Let's see. Type undefined is not assignable to, but it's not undefined anymore if you know where it is, right? Let's see, folks. I'm going to import that type in here as well. Import project from Prisma client, and we'll say as project. And okay, so the options isn't the error anymore. It's the base selector, which means let's pop this task priority out because it's not going to be option. It's going to be like option dot project name, right? Actually, we don't even need the task priority anymore. I don't think that's going to be associated to this. So, and then handle option select, we're going to actually select the project ID here. And options.map. Let's see, the actual selected option is going to be the option. It's going to be the option dot. And this is the string value I think we're showing. That's all. So handle option select. Oh, we are sending the project ID. So we can actually just say we're not sending the string. Actually, we're sending the project. So that should take care of this error. And then this selected option isn't going to be just the option. That's going to be the project.name. Let's see, as string, it's non-nullable. So let's just either do this. We can instantiate as a string there, or we could say as string, I believe. So there's that error. And then this will actually emit the project ID. So the custom function is shooting up the project ID, which is what we want. And that might be a bit of a foreign concept, but let me explain, I guess in code what is going on. So let me pull up our console. So the list of projects is being sent down, which it looks like, let's see what else our error is. Missing custom function is missing let's see if we do that, will that handle our deal? Oh, and then we actually need to say custom function. And this is where we could put a piece of state and declare what ID is being called up. I believe, I think this is gonna work all together. So hold on, folks. Let me just kind of build this out real quick. So we'll say selected project here, or I guess project ID is what we called it in the base column component. So we'll just stick to that, and it is a string value. And all we want to do here is just set the project ID to the value, and this could be named anything, but we'll just call it value, or project ID is fine. And this is just going to be set here, I believe, as string. Boom. And boom. Now we could go ahead and maybe render it on screen to see if we did it proper. So let me explain in code in the selector real quick to see if we did it all right. I think we did. I believe so. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, folks. Pop open our console. So the list of projects is being passed in as options is what we're calling it. We can call it projects if we want to rename it, just from the drop-down component that we had. So maybe we'll do that just for congruence. So because it is a project selector component. So let's go to our project selector and rename all the options. Oh, hit Command Z accidentally. So all the options is going to be projects, and we'll actually rename this to handle project select or selected project. I'm not crazy picky, just as long as the name roughly reflects what we're doing. But so let me console log the projects, and I think that'll start on step 1, right? So what comes in is going to be this array of projects. So right now we just have 2, which are going to be these guys, and they come in as objects, and the objects have an ID and a project name associated to them. So that's what we see in the objects. So we're just mapping them through here. Projects, boom, where are they? Projects.map. And just the button, that's all handled from the other episode down earlier. The handles project select is passing in an individual option. An option, I guess we could rename it to project. Selected option. Yeah, let's call it project. How about that? And Boom. I think we just need to call that project here. Project here. Sorry, guys. So it's passing in a project, which is just one of these objects. So it's the object with both the ID and the project name. And we'll obviously have more stuff down the road, you know, when it's the project users, all that extra stuff. But for the purpose of this selector, we just need to choose we just need the name for like the user. They just need to see the name that they're choosing. And then obviously we broke something here because it's not working, but we just need to see the name of the user. And then we also just need to see, let's see if it worked. No, we broke something here. So before I get ahead of myself though, they just need to see the name. And then what we're going to emit upwards is going to be the ID. So when we click, at least that's working, which is great. So when we click the blockchain project, which I imagine is probably this first option, and then the second option, it should emit the other ID, company A project. So I have no idea why the thing's not showing. I'm sure it's something simple. We'll figure it out here in a moment. But that's the rough idea is the projects want to, they need to show. Wait, why is this not working? Base project. We'll come around to it. We already did the harder part, right? Which is the data handling, right? So projects are being passed in as those objects, and then what's being emitted upwards. All emit means is just where props go down, emissions go up. That's all it is. That's all it is. Like props just go this way through the data. And it doesn't even need to be down. It could be left and right. Like props, if I'm this page and I use a component, I could pass props to this component. An emit just says I'm the component. I'll pass it to the page. That's all it is. That's all it is. So a prop is one way and emissions are the other way. Whatever way. You could think of it as diagonal. You could think of it as front to back. Props go this way. Emits go this way. A lot of people think of props as passing down because you take the larger data, you know, you like typically build a page and then you like pass the prop down from a page into like a button or something. But very much you can have that button say, oh no, I want to do something for the page upwards. So you can have these two-way relationships of data. And that's all we're doing here with emissions with this custom function. We're just passing in the value of the custom function upwards. So when we go to this page and we say custom function, that's the value right there. This guy right here. It's the project ID in this situation, but we can literally name this whatever. And all it is just right here what we're passing in the custom function. So here's our custom function, nothing else. It's just simply this. And we're just setting it to, we can literally say, you know, whatever ever we want, right? And that, whenever we select an option, now should be emitted on the screen. So I hope that makes sense, kind of. I know it could be kind of, at least when I first learned emits, it hurt my head. But yeah, you know, so that's all it is, and then we're just capturing the emission on the parent page, setting it to the project ID, showing it on screen. That's all. And we're actually not going to show it on screen, but that's what's happening behind the scenes is we do need to know the ID of what project's being selected. So looks like we got that. And then I'm going to query for that project. So we're going to build an endpoint for that. And then and I guess we need to know overall what project that is. So the project store needs to be able to set the project ID. I think this needs to come from the project store actually, not this page or wherever this component is going to end up being. So we'll set the project ID and we'll also pass it down. Oh, I did a lowercase I. Whoopsie daisy. Okay, so boom. Project ID. We need to know exactly which project is being selected. I guess we could do project ID, or we could even omit the entire option. Like we don't even have to omit just the string. We could actually omit the entire project. We're going to get an error for right now because the emission here we said is a string. But if we just do this, boom, error gone. And then if we go to the parent, instead of saying as a string, boom, error gone. And then right here, instead of setting this as a string, we just set it as the project. And project ID, instead of project ID, now we can access all of it, the project name, the description, whatever one we want. So I'll probably do that actually. I'll do it in the project store instead of this page again. Again, reason being is flexibility in the future. I don't know what else we want to do for the project name or the project selector, if you will. So hold on, let me get that configured. So we aren't going to set it to a string. We're going to set it to the project, and we now have access to that project. Oh, I guess this would be the project ID. So let's just call it the project then, and set project, and boom, and boom. Okay. So project store, let's project store set project. Instead of project ID, we will call it project. Project, boom. And we don't need this. And this can actually now be from the project store. And we have access to the project now from anywhere in our application. So that is what I like. That is what I like. So now I could show the project name, I could show the project ID, I could show the description, right? Depending on just whatever we emit from this selector. So boom, we have my blockchain project, which is this ID. And I could break it up a little bit more, just so we can easily see. So my blockchain project, and let's select the other one, company A project with this ID. So I think that's going to be the rough idea on how to do it. Let me just kind of cancel all this stuff out, and let's figure out that CSS bug real quick, just why we're not seeing the project name. So the dropdown, if the dropdown is open, we want to see the project. Where do we even show? Oh, do we not have a thing? Okay, so that's probably exactly where the project needs to be. So we can say project, but it's not just the project. It is what? The project dot name. So boom, there we go. Company A project, company B project, company A project, company B project. And now, like I said, we have access to that ID, and we can fire off a query whenever we select a project. So set project. I guess we could put a watcher, or not a huge deal. We could handle it all in the project store, or handle it in the component that we're in. I think we'll do that. So let's build out that endpoint real quick. Projects, and I'll put a file here, and this will be project ID.ts. And let me pull in this endpoint. Boom. It's going to be a get project method. We could probably put a delete one too. We'll build that in a moment. Not today, not right now. It's not going to be projects. It is going to be find. What is it? Find many? No. We want const project ID, right? And where do we want it from? The rec.query. That's going to be our params basically for Prisma, or for this next, what's it called? Next server, I guess. Let's get rid of this post thing. Don't need that. This is just going to be to include this, and I believe we say where, boom, project ID. I believe. Just throw this in ChatGPT, or look at our task ID endpoint. So how do we find a specific task? Find first where task ID equals the stringified version of task. So I think that's all we need to do here. Project ID, boom. Okay, cool. So there we go. And I think that'll return a, well, it won't do anything quite yet. We'll need to go to the project store and build out the endpoint for it. So it won't be get projects, it'll be get project, which is just one. And we'll pass in the project ID so we know which project it is. And I guess set project, we can set it to the response here. And then finally, we need to pass in the query here, or the parameter, excuse me. Project ID, needs to be uppercase ID, and we need to export this function. And boom, get project right there. Looks about appropriate. We'll put it in the use effect. Or we could put it into, how about this? Fetch project. This will take project ID as string, and we will get project, or project store, excuse me, project store.get project. Pass in the project ID, and we'll fire that off on every selector. Or we could build a button for it, and then I guess there's nothing else to it though, because we're already showing the projects here because we already have them, you know. So I guess we might want to add like a task or something associated with the project, so we can actually fetch a project like with different data than another project. But this is roughly what we want to do. I guess we could just put it right there directly. Project ID, boom. And that should fetch the specific project every time, I believe. So let's get this out of use state, and let's check the response. Or we could do the project store.project. That's how we'll know, right? So project store.project, because we're no longer setting it here through state. We're actually going to need to fetch it from the data. So if it shows up, which it didn't, okay, so let's think about it. I'm thinking, folks. I'm thinking. I want to see the response to see if we get a response here. We have a bunch of bad error requests. So let's see. We'll just ignore all those for now. Not a huge deal. Fetching task. We already know all the endpoints are broken. Fetch and localhost task projects with this ID 404 not found. And let's pop it up. So what idea was it? 1BB6. We have 1BB6, so it should be the blockchain project. 404 not found. That is a bit of an issue. Could be something to do with our Prisma as well, where obviously maybe it's find first. Let's see if we get the project ID in the server. We crash the server and restart it. Obviously with larger movements of things moving around and the Prisma model being completely reframed, it could obviously change a lot of things. So let's see if that did anything. My blockchain project, we are not getting any sort of response or anything, right? Axios bad request. Server not found. Projects. What is our endpoint? It should be right. So we're going to do the trusty old console log. Running. See if we get in our try block, and then see if we get past that. And then we'll put one in the catch as well. See if that'll see where we break, right? If it's in the store, it might not even be getting to the store. I don't know if we could do this in the custom function potentially. That might be an issue there too. Undefined projects.map. Oh, you know why? Well, of course, that's going to be an issue because projects don't show up first. They're going to show up later. They are going to show up much later. So let's do that. Let's try this out. Boom, my blockchain project. Let's see what we got in the store. If we had anything in the store, running, boom, error bad request. So at least we had something in the store. Yep, looks like we break on the Axios call. So I'm gonna hop on a call with Chester right now, actually, and get to the bottom of this, because before getting too far down architecting and doing these compound keys and building these project user keys and user task keys, I do want to run that by Chester before getting too far down this route, because if I need to make adjustments, I need to know now, because this is literally where we're building and constructing these larger concepts and how to choose projects, etc., etc. So as you can see, we get a broken response here. Axios.get projects, boom. Let's just double check our project ID, projects. Oh, duh. Maybe it was something that simple. Hold on. Before I bail and call Chester. Hold on. We're gonna get some errors. We know that. Project ID running. All right, folks. It was just a tiny issue, but we are fetching these projects now from the database. That's awesome. That is awesome. So now if we fetch another, boom, company A's project, boom, my blockchain project. All right, folks, we came in last minute on the 90th yard line with a W. So, but I'm going to hop on a call with Chester. Guys, thank you so much for watching and coming along for the ride on the Code Chronicles, as always. Or should I say my ASMR channel? All right. Cheers. I'll see you guys on the next one.